been married for how long?
We'll be married for 14 years.
14 years, man. That's special, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I got married. I was 24 years old. I think I knew that I was going to be with Danielle for the rest of my life. And I also knew that her grandparents were getting older. So I thought, why not get married? Totally messed up my proposal, but it's worked out.
Mm-hmm.
We went on a 6-week trip to Europe. And before it, I had already bought the ring and everything, or picked out the ring, but I left it in the store because I wanted to have the cash on hand in case something happened while we were gone. So I didn't propose in Europe, although you can propose without a ring, believe it or not, and I should have known that. But it's worked out so far. Danny's been really supportive, like I said earlier. I think she's the only reason I can do the job that I do. She's much more responsible than I am with the money. She's the reason we live in the house that we live in.
Right on.
Have the cars that we have.
Yes.
Are able to save money the way that she does.
There we go.
And
she does.
She does. I mean, she says, "Hey, you got to send over this amount of money every month, and I'm going to put it in savings. And then when things happen at the house, she says, all right, we're going to use the savings for this." And then she's like, "Oh, we got this much in savings." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." And it's really cool. And now that we have a kid, I would like to be more responsible. But the fact is my personality, or maybe I just haven't pushed myself or been forced to. I'm just comfortable enough where I don't have to change. She's carried that load. She is that person in our house that makes sure stuff works. And I'm the guy that gets us into concerts, Right
on. It works. It worked. That's y'all's dynamic, and it works.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. And I'm a good dad. I'm a really good dad. I think
that's most.
I don't like
important.
to talk about the things I'm good at, but I feel like I'm really proud to that I'm great with Patrick. So I think that's really great.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and I think I really love this because a lot of people are on social media and they're telling you how you have to be and what you got to do, but you really got to find what works for you.
I watch those
when
things.
it comes
I
to
watch the dad
relationships.
things. So I have 2 separate Instagram accounts, one for me and my work, and another one for my son because I don't like to put his face out there because I work in the news.
Yeah,
and the algorithm on my son's gives me all the parenting stuff. Right. So, I mean, I'm reading stuff about couples therapy, what to show your kid in terms of videos and stuff like that. So I'm doing it too. So
it sounds like you guys complement each other, which is
there we go.
Really
that's true.
I think so. And we're very opposite, just total opposites. She was invited on the podcast today, right? But she's so shy. And I'm the exact opposite. She was telling me when I pull into Sprouts, if there's a guy at one of the arm things that lets you in and out, I purposely go to the other one because I don't want any kind of human interaction, and that's a total opposite of me. It's I'm yeah, can I talk to you for 25 minutes, we're totally opposite, man, and it's worked out. And there's this fucking, I hate when people put pressure on themselves to have perfect marriages and they get embarrassed that things are going wrong, or if they get a divorce, or people will be like, "Oh, we were married for 35 years, man, they got a divorce." And I'm like, gosh, isn't that a shame? And I'm like, dude, you were married for 35 years, man. Every relationship, for however long it is very special and unique, and an opportunity to meet somebody. Gosh, there's so much pressure to get relationships right, and it's a shame, dude. Relationships are so hard.
Yeah.
They're
Any
hard
type
work.
of relationship.
They're the hardest things in the world, dude. You can't even get along with yourself.
Right.
How are you supposed to get along with somebody else? So, and if you could find somebody that is tolerant and patient up with you,
Yeah, that's
try to make it work.
Yeah, the patience part is a big thing. I think that's what is a big testament to why me and Christina work so well, is because she's very understanding of me, and me of her, but more so on her end. Can probably be because I am so, I guess, go with the flow. I guess for a lot of people that's a turn off, or it seems like you're indifferent or you don't care or something, right? Or maybe you don't have ambition or something. luckily she was able to see past that. Right.
Yeah. And I think you can't understate how much therapy and talking to people helps.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you go to therapy, but I mean, just sitting here, I was
This is
thinking
big.
about it, like you guys getting together, however often you get together. Lord knows. I mean, I don't even know what you talk about half the time, but it must be nice to just sit here and be able to talk to somebody,
Yeah.
and we don't make that space for ourselves. So,
Absolutely, man.
yeah.
I think one of the things you said too, John, that sticks out though is like she recognized something in you that no one else did, but that works for her. That works for you. And I keep going back to that. Is like we got to find and feel what works for us. Like you can get all these different messages from all over the place, whether it be like from people or whatever you follow, but really you got to take time to yourself and figure out what works for you. You're not going to take everything.
No.
Not everything's gonna hit for you.
No.
Or it might hit at a different time. But relationships, man, like that's like the hot topic on the internet.
It is
man.
right now. Yeah.
So,
Really?
Well, we were talking earlier about you posed a question, David. Do we think, from a societal standpoint, are we moving towards war, right, or peace? Honestly, when we talk about relationships, there's definitely a war between the genders right now. It is getting really bad. Young people are
What do you mean?
Young people are having a really hard time in the dating and relationship space where marriage is not a priority. In fact, a lot of young people are saying, I don't ever want to be married, or I don't ever want to have kids. And so there are a lot of disenfranchised young men who are feeling left out.
Okay. Because they're looking for a partner who would like that?
Well, yes. And there are just a large number of men who are feeling like they can't compete in this world of instant gratification and social media, right? A lot of young women are they're killing it right now when it comes to getting attention from certain men on the internet, and most men cannot compete. They feel like they're being left out, and so there's this war of the genders. It's why we have something called like the manosphere, which is a lot of young men turning to men like you weren't here when we were watching this, but we were watching a video about Andrew Tate, who's sort of leading this charge for male self-improvement in ways, but he's also under investigation for very sort of questionable activities regarding women. And so there's the subculture of men who are looking for answers. They don't know where to turn to, and they're turning to certain other men who are leading them, and it's not always in a good direction. But it always boils down to relationships and what's going on, and why can't I be successful in my
Have you seen that movie Don't Worry Darling?
I have not.
That's like the twist.
Is that
I don't want to give too much of it away, but yeah, that's interesting to hear you say that. I mean, I don't envy anybody who has to date, especially like you said, it's the attention economy.
Oh yeah.
And being able to, I don't know, stand out, or I can't imagine what it's like to date these days, because there are so many different ways to meet people. And I can't imagine the pressure of making sure that your Bumble DMs go the right way, or your what's the Tinder.
So here's an example.
It's got to be so hard.
Statistically speaking, I think they use the stats from dating apps, and I think one of the stats is that women only swipe right when you like somebody,
or something, whatever.
They only swipe right 5% of the the
Sick.
Whereas men are swiping right.
Men have like a machine that just does it for them.
Exactly.
Yes, there's an algorithm.
So on the dating side,
you're swiped out, buddy.
Right. Well, most men are being swiped. Most men are being ignored. Whereas, so women are looking at these top percentages of men, while the vast majority of men are being ignored. And this is prevalent because dating apps they're used, a lot today, right? When we were growing up dating, we didn't use dating apps, but now it's like, the primary way for people to.
Sure. It's actually, I mean, it might be safer, right? Than like in some ways going out to a bar and I mean, I love going out to bars, talking to people.
Yeah.
But maybe it's safer for people. But I get what you're saying. Like, there is like that element of maybe somebody feeling like they don't have a shot.
Well, imagine you're a 20-year-old guy and
Yeah.
you really don't have, much going for you because you're young, you haven't established yourself yet. What you can expect in the dating market compared to an equal 20-year-old woman who's highly attractive is much less.
I'll tell you this, that opened my eyes to something. I didn't think about it that way. Mm-hmm. But I will say, I don't feel bad for anybody, for the man in that situation. I mean, it's just not like I don't feel like, gosh, that must feel terrible to feel like just rejected. I mean, that's the worst feeling. That's the absolute worst feeling in the world, rejection. Yeah. Sure. So, but yeah, I mean, that is interesting. I never thought about it that way.
It's a part of life, though. You got to go through that.
Well, they might not have much going for them.
Do they though?
Financially.
Like, no, but
they might have
Chris
all these other things.
Like, exactly. Like, they're just people too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not.
But they're getting rejected just on the app.
That's not what you're seeing. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have this online culture. You're not seeing someone's spirit.
Yeah.
Or you never have a chance.
Apps, right?
Yeah.
The things
really
that are, again, there's a reason why women are only swiping on 5% of men, because it's a certain criteria that these guys have to meet. And unfortunately, when you're 20 and you've just started to work on yourself and become something, you really don't meet that criteria that a lot of young girls are looking for these days.
I think it starts with a profile pic, and I think more dudes need a light like this.
Light like this
in their house, maybe. Like, just get a better profile pic, man.
Yeah. A better profile.
But that is crazy. That is wild. I didn't realize that stat, dude.
And that's where the gender war is starting to happen between men and women. It's with the younger generation, and it's becoming a real thing.
Do you think there's like I don't know the right word for it. Like, I don't know if anybody's looking for like a solution for it, but like a bomb or an antidote. Antidote's probably the wrong word, but like, if that type of culture is creating these enclaves where men are attracted to a guy like Tate, who maybe says some interesting things here, but is really under investigation for all this stuff, as you said.
Right.
And you're able to overlook that. It's like, what is happening to these men in these, you call them manospheres, where, gosh, what is going on in there?
Yeah.
And if it's toxic and dangerous, then again, maybe it's the antithesis of what you're trying to create on this.
The source.
That's exactly it.
Podcast,
it
right?
Very well can be toxic, and it's it's a dangerous space sometimes. There's extremes in any group.
Yeah.
And the extremes in the manosphere are very dangerous.
Oh, you gotta watch Don't Worry, Darling, man.
Okay.
You're gonna love it. I hated it just because I was unhappy with the ending.
Okay.
But if that's the topic,
And
I'm gonna watch that tonight.
it blows your mind.
There we go.
so I want to bring something up. We're touching on these points.
By the way, I just want to go on the record. I do not like Don't Worry, Darling as a movie. It's a terrible movie, okay? But the twist is pretty cool.
Okay.
So,
I don't want to get dragged for liking this movie.
so
It's not like in Magic Mike, So.
yeah, right. You gotta like Magic Mike by default, especially living here. No, but to build on the points about the people, like men and women not getting along here in the younger generation. I was watching, and I've seen it on a few different interviews. They multiple times would ask random 20-something ladies, 20, maybe mid-20s, whatever, younger ladies, and they were like, so what do you think is an acceptable amount that your guy should make for you to be happy yearly? And these women they were asked that, and then they asked the same question, but then they were also asked the other very similar question was, what do you think the average guy makes? Right? So what do you think would make you happy, and what do you think the average guy makes? So they said they think the average guy makes around $100,000 a year. That's average. That's what they think every dude is walking around making. And then when asked, what do you think your guys should make where, you would be happy and content? Happy and content. Now, this is you feeling you have all your bases covered and you're not worried about finding your next meal. These women are saying like 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 a year.
Come on.
And I'm like,
I think you got to look at the sample.
If
And I
they-
think if you ask
yes,
men,
yes.
if you asked men the same question, I think they might have equally skewed
I don't
like views on what people make. Like, what was the age demographic of those people being asked?
That's the thing. It's prevalent within the youth, and it's because of the social media. What they see in social media, they see people with these exciting lifestyles, spending all this money on this, on these trips and these fancy cars, and that has in their mind become what is the norm. The average man in America makes about $48,000 to $50,000 a year, right? That's the average household income in America is about $69,000 to $70,000 a year, right? But a lot of people don't get that because what they're bombarded with in social media shows extravagance. It shows a lifestyle that is typically only attained by the top 5% of
But
people.
we're also nobody's encouraging these people consuming social media to think critically and think, well, shit, I can go to the mall today and go dig out 5 Gucci bags and then go rent a Lamborghini and take a picture, have some great photo shoots, and I can present a whole different life than I actually live.
Right. Yes, that plays into it. A lot of the things that they're seeing online aren't even real.
They're not.
Right, but that's the expectation. When you grow up in this social media culture, that's what you see all the time. That's what you expect. And that's why when you ask the average young person, what is it that you think the average man makes in America, and they say $200,000, it's like, no, you're way off base, right? Because your perception of reality is skewed by what it is that you see online.
So speaking of that, what really threw me is when I went to South Beach, right? Me and you've gone a few, I've gone a few times. One of those times was with you. And on that main strip, whatever the name of that street is, you will see Lamborghinis and Ferraris and these banging cars, right? And you'll see the same car with the same person driving up and down the street. You'll see them like 4 or 5 times just on that same strip.
Stunting.
And then what blew my mind is I saw that and I was like, oh, that's crazy. Okay, whatever. And then I saw a documentary about it. So literally you'll see a sign, turn the corner here, and you can rent these vehicles for like $400, $300 for like a couple hours, right? And then so that's what people are seeing. You go and here you go, and then you just ride up and down the strip. I laugh because you can always tell the people who rented the car versus people who maybe have like bought it or worked for it. Because the people renting the car, they got their homeboys and their girlfriends standing in the seats with the music blaring. Total disrespect for the actual vehicle.
That's what I would do in that car.
So, especially because it's a rental. You're like, my car. Now, granted, if someone were to purchase that car, boy, they're spraying leather oil on the seat. They're not doing half that. Mm-hmm. But then, so that documentary I was saying, there's this side hustle that's going on that people will rent that car for 6 hours, then turn around and I guess maybe use a website and rent it out to someone else.
Like a sublease?
They're subleasing their car for hey, so I rent this car for 6 hours. Oh, hey, you want the car for 3? Cool, give me $800. And now I just made $200. So say I rented it for $600 from this guy.
Sounds like a legal nightmare if something happens.
Yeah, seriously.
No, it is. It's like totally illegal. So you're crossing your fingers that the person that you rented it to doesn't trash the car because you still got to give it back. But I couldn't believe there's a side hustle to renting a rental.
It's incredible.
Like, what?
But I think what we got to do is we got to start like switching the perspective like of people, like, especially young people, young men and women. Like when that question is asked, what was the question you said? Like, how much does a woman or how much does a man have to make, you said, for you to consider dating, for you to consider dating him?
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? If that woman answers that question, you don't want her.
Agreed.
So that's the answer right there. Is like, we need you to like.
Disagree. I mean, if the girl wants, if that's what,
But they're looking at
what is
that
perception
as,
and reality.
But they're looking at that as security. Like what has happened is in the society that we live in, like money is looked at as security.
I think,
but really, self-sustainability is really security. If you can self-sustain yourself, that's security because money could be gone in an instant, man.
I mean, no, I don't think anybody in those interviews asked a follow-up question and said why.
Yeah.
right? So we don't know the motivations. We're making a lot of assumptions about
Well,
people's.
I did see one interview similar to what John talked about, where they did ask why, and the one girl's response was, because I don't want to be broke. That was it. That was the answer. That's a motivator. I don't want to be broke.
Yeah, well, they grew up broke. They don't want to be broke. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the optics. It's what they see. You know, you got to have money, right? Because you need money to do things. It is a certain level of security, right? Financial freedom is
yeah.
it does
Maybe it's
provide.
financial freedom is sold to us too.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I'm for it now that I'm kind of picturing it. Seeing
We're older, so the fact that you don't even realize that this is going on.
I know it makes me.
That's awesome.
The pressures, those pressures that you pointed out, and that kind of level of rejection on such a mass scale.
Right.
I suppose it was happening out in the bars and stuff.
Well-
Hey, how's it going? Nope, not you. You know?
To a certain degree, but it wasn't as prevalent with us because we weren't bombarded constantly with these false images of these extravagant lifestyles
100%.
and these perfect couples where the man is making all this money and the woman's going on
The
trips
closest
to-
we got was a Men's Health magazine.
right
Yeah.
right. So that's it, like that's the thing. The social media culture has sort of
And you had to
created
buy a
this
magazine.
monster.
You can literally just download the app
Yeah.
and follow these people for free.
Mm-hmm.
I remember back when in the dating realm when it was a plus. All you had to do as a guy was, as long as you had a stable job.
Shit, John had a truck.
Oh yeah, I had a vehicle
He
and a
had
stable
truck, dude.
a vehicle and a stable job, and people are like, girl, he's got his own car and a job. You better hang on to him.
And then you buy a house and it's all over.
Oh, tell me about it.
Now
Guy had two.
they're proposing to you. But
Well, I
nowadays
think
it's not enough. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube and Spotify at Better Gents Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Better Gents Pod. Thank you and take care.